this computer. All right, let's go. All right, so here's what we're looking at the XY, right? This is what I told you guys, I think it was like a couple weeks ago, that this is what we were looking at, right? Looking at the last buy to sell. That color's ugly, and then you take this off. Right, your last buy to sell in a monthly open, right? That wicked and it rejected, right? But just because you get a reaction doesn't mean you get the follow through. Right, so now another potential for this is obviously still that 100 whole number area, right? 100, 100.5, that kind of area. And that is still very, very like, it's very probable that that could still go there. Why? Because from a weekly time frame, all right, we broke minor structure from like a daily intraday perspective. But when you're looking at this from a weekly, all right, all you see is a series of higher highs, higher lows, right? Now let's say this bottomed out, right? How far would this go? If we measure impulses, right around to that next area, right? But now let's take it deeper than that. Oh shit, should have done that. All right. Cool. So now I'll take this to a daily time frame. What do we see? One. Why is this not showing? Oh, it doesn't show volume on this. All right. Anyways, we see price potentially bottomed out. As to why it bottomed out there, that you can't really tell honestly based off of what candles we're giving now. But as you can see, from an intraday perspective, right? Intraday, you could say we're in a downtrend, whatever, blah, 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 right? Lower lows, lower highs, right? And what we noticed last week, basically at the end of last week, you stop doing that. Right? We noticed rejection of this last buy to sell, and this was due to whatever news was at 1 p.m. on Friday, right? And then we got that final rejection. But as you can see, our lows didn't clear, whatever. This leaves equal lows, possible future targets. But as for now, this is just showing us a shift in momentum, right? Once you see that, then you could easily see a very strong move in the opposite direction, right? And when you look at this also on a daily time frame, you see a ton of buy pressure just come in out of nowhere, right? So this can easily, you know, just head up there. Why do I say that? You see a bunch of, like Trey says, hidden divergence, right? This can easily just start flying. Now, when we correlate that to EURUSD, right, we see the same thing but inverted, right? But here's the cool part, which does this on DXY too. I didn't show you guys. That 100 on DXY, if we were to hit 100, then we would hit 1.08 on EURUSD, which has been my target for a very, very long time. Right? It's for like probably the past 3-4 months. Right? And if by some chance we do reach down here, I could see this being a very strong move to the upside. Right? Because not only is structure maintained, but this is also at a very discounted market. What does that mean? That means that we're in a very high probability a very high probable area for buys, right? So if we do get there, cool, right? And also the cool thing about this is that we have rejected this buy to sell candle, right? Buy to sell, we just came back into there, and obviously from a more swing perspective, we did reject that, as you can see, right? It could have gone higher, whatever, blah, blah, doesn't matter. We rejected the open of a monthly candle, and that's very powerful. Like, that's extremely strong, right? Like, this was actually one of my buy targets, just because I knew if we couldn't pass this type of this level on a monthly, then this was probably going to continue lower, which is hopefully what we get now, right? You see, this is 2-3 weeks of consolidation. Now we should see some strong bearish momentum depending on this week's closure. We'll see whether or not this will want to basically roll over, right? So now let's look at a more intraday side to this, right? So this is a point I highlighted, right? Notice this last buy to sell candle, right? Not only that, but notice how price rejected 50%, right? And when we include volume into this, right, we see this, right? What does this mean? This is showing me, right? Well, obviously, if we look back, we're seeing a ton of buy pressure, right? As you can see, buy pressure, buy pressure, buy pressure. Now, when we get into this area, we see a ton of buy pressure to get towards basically the area of the last buy to sell move. And once we start coming back into this, 50% whatever, you see the buy volume be, pretty like a very solid amount lower than the previous bearish volume. What does that mean? This is showing an unwillingness to continue higher, right? And that's shown through the wicks, right? Rejection, 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 unwillingness to continue higher. So we roll over, right? Now, what do we see on basically an intraday side, right? So this is what I showed y'all here, right? So the 4-hour, let me actually highlight that again. From an intraday standpoint, right? Let's see. Oh, it's right here. Right. So this is why I showed y'all that basically distribution schematic. And let me actually pull that up. What time did I send that markup? Oh, it's right here. I don't know why it looks like why it's like, I don't know why it isn't like all the way like horizontally. It made like a square. That's weird. Right. But based off of the schematic, right? Buying climax, blah, 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 whatever. All right. But the important point here is that while we were creating our secondary test or upthrust and our upthrust after distribution, right, we see volume basically be non-existent, right? So when you're looking at volume and you see no volume, but price is moving in a certain direction, that means that you're more than likely looking at a very false move. And what happened? As soon as that final as soon as the UTAD and the test occurred, which this right here is your test, right? We see a ton of bearish volume just come into play, right? Because notice that's some type of divergence, we see a ton of selling pressure. And I actually was trying to buy off of here, right? But actually, I didn't buy this. I wasn't awake when this happened. I woke up when price was like around here. But what you got to realize now is that this right here is significant, as in we see a ton of bearish volume coming out of nowhere, right? That should essentially mean a type of, volume shift, a type of, a type of, basically a change of direction, right? But as you guys can see, the effect of having so much selling pressure come in. All right, let me take that off. Hold on, guys. All right, so what this large bearish candle means is that we could be looking at a change of direction, which is what we did, right? But the consequence of having so much selling pressure come into play leads to the inefficiency in price, right? So what did price do? It came back to fill the inefficiency, right? And notice how it's just one singular wick, right? Like you can't make this up. You're like, oh, my stop hunt. No, you just don't know what you're looking at, right? So once you see that, that's when you see the full rollover come in, right? That LPSY plus that inefficiency fill basically assures you a completion of phase D, which is this right here. That's phase D, right? And once you get a completion of phase D, then you're more than likely going to see the completed schematic leading to, the rollover, which is what happened all here, right? So that 10-minute inefficiency fill, as you can see, let me see. Wait, was that on this time frame? All right, well, I don't know why it's doing that, right? But basically, that's an inefficiency fill. But if you go out to the 15-minute, this is actually just a sponsored candle play, right? You play this, sell limits, execution, whatever, blah, blah. You can give this 4 pips, right? You usually want to put your stop right above the closure, right? Let's say I have let's say my spread is like half a pip. All right, so 3.3, that rounded out to 4 pips. Cool, right? So you essentially get that limit in there in that last buy to sell, because not only is it a buy to sell, but this sell creates inefficiency. So price has to fill that inefficiency and account for the orders, right? So once you get that, you just basically ride the wave down because you're looking at a potential trend shift, which is what happened, right? Now that 4 pip stop leads to over 100 pip profit, right? And in case you don't want to hold that long, you just set targets, right? Like obviously previous low, right? 41 pips, that's already 10 to 1. I took a lot smaller. Yeah, no, that would actually be my first target, right? Like my targets would have been, if I'm aiming to have multiple targets here, my targets would have been first target there, second target there, right? And in case I have positions left over, then I'll just let those ride, because this is not only a it's not only a how do I say it? It's not only a like positive swap, but you're also rejecting, like I said before, this last bullish buy to sell candle. So imagine actually riding this all the way to 1.1.08. Let me see. That's essentially 371 pips, whatever, plus your swap. That's a good little swing trade. right? But obviously all of that came from knowing your bias on a monthly time frame, which was potentially continue selling due to your previous strong bullish buy to sell move. So price came to account for that. Now you see continuation to the downside. All right, but now that we see some strength in the dollar, we're going to see basically that across the board. So I was aiming to continue selling UCAD, right? But first, let me show you all this. Something I didn't catch on to today, right? So this is something I showed you guys. I think it was like either last week or 2 weeks ago. I think it was last week. So I showed you all this, right? That we finally came in and touched 50%. And we went to an intraday. We saw equal lows right before the 50%. Then we see the last, basically the last push down to get into that 50%, and then basically skyrocketed. All right, so I was looking to sell this, which is why I sold here, but I was looking to sell based off of this daily candle right here. Right, so I missed that entry, but I was able to catch on some, I forgot what, I think it was a 15-minute, 10-minute. Yeah, so I caught my sell from that 50% right here. Let me delete this. I caught my sell off here, right? So that's basically the top of that hour wick, right? And obviously my first target was here. So that was a total of 52 pips for relatively four to five. Oh, actually, for like a 8 pip stop, right? Not bad, but obviously that did continue for like another 20 pips. But now we see the rejection, right? And why is that? It's because I didn't really acknowledge this as much, but this is actually a sell to buy move on a weekly time frame, and that's like extremely like significant. You're rejecting something off of a weekly time frame, so you should expect a weekly time frame type of move, right? You can even see price come all the way back up here, right? So now when you're looking at this from a more zoomed in perspective, you can consider all of this inefficient pricing, right? So now you could either measure your some type of imbalance, but this would have been a little tricky to figure out where your 50% was. So instead of doing that, right, you pay attention to the whole move. Right, and notice how price came back into a discounted pricing before it continued higher. So I didn't see this. I didn't acknowledge this. I just thought this was going to roll over, continue, right? But we obviously got the rejection from here, and not only that, but whenever you see this last sell move here, right? You see this last sell move, you don't see any type of volume supporting it. You don't see any type of any type of volume supporting this. So therefore, this move shouldn't last, and it obviously didn't, as you can see, skyrocketed afterwards. Right. So that's just that was just a missed time for me. I did take some profits, but now that position closed at closed in stop loss of profit. Right. But it is what it is. You see that, and you learn from it. Let me see what you're saying. Yeah, let me go over one more pair, which is actually a really cool little pair. It's GBP AUD. This is something I missed out on. This move happened a couple of days ago. So what I want to see is this just fly, right? I can see this easily just continuing to fly. So the tough part is looking for an entry. And we missed our optimal entry, right? Because I zoomed into my 4 hour. I look at this technically as sell to buy move. You highlight the open of that candle. Let me make this accurate, right? And you see price. You see price wicket there, right? So the tough part now is trying to get that second entry, right? Based off this time frame, price already, has basically mitigated that. But in my opinion, I consider all of these, I consider this just a little range, and I consider all of this just equal lows. So what I would like is to see, no, not this time frame. On this 45 minute, as you can see, we have a sell to buy move. I would hope that we come back into this 50%. Right? Basically see some sort of false move. Right, it won't be that quick, but you'll probably see something like that, if it even reaches as far. That's why I have my alert sitting there just in case. And if it doesn't, then I'll probably wait for some break of structure here, look for the last buy to sell candle somewhere here, and then take it up. Right? The point is, you want to try to catch this with as minimal potential drawdown, right? So you can increase your lot size, blah, 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 whatever, catch a bigger move in the trade, right? And let's say this move does play out. What type of trade are we looking at? If you're looking at a limit, obviously stop goes there. That's a pretty big stop. That's 25 pips. That's pretty big. But since this is a more higher time frame trade, your first swing target could even be the highs, and that's already 463 pips away. But now look at the potential this has to just continue flying. And I'm pretty sure we have some sort of monthly target here. Yeah, like you see the open of that monthly here is above the previous high. So you could easily see this skyrocket into that area. So that goes from a 25 pip stop to potentially a 550 pip move, right? But obviously the goal is to try to see something on smaller time frames so we don't have to use this massive stop loss. So what we could see is some sort of rejection here, blah, 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 and then adjust your stop based on that, or you could just start zooming in the price, right? So let's start zooming in the price. What do I see now? I see this. So let's say price magically comes back here. Your trade is now so much more cleaner and has a whole lot more room from a risk reward potential. All right, now you're looking at 8 pips, whatever, to go 550 pips. Right now you see that drastic change in risk to reward, right? Even your first target here would be pretty decent risk reward. Let me look at that. Your first target would obviously be highs at this range. That's already 11-1. Take it up, whatever, blah blah. But you guys get the point. Go to 1 minute. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Why 10-minute chart? Why not? Into my question, when you get 2 minutes, I want to ask something. What's up?
Yeah, so I kind of messed up with the UCAD today because I over leveraged, but that was like completely just my fault. But damn, I forgot what I was gonna say. So at that point, if you can go back to UCAD,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
where it filled inefficiency right there, would you just like
Where?
close right on
What time frame?
you can go to the 30-minute right there,
You
right
can
like
go
a
to the
little bit
screen
underneath, like the lowest
right
point.
here.
Yeah. Would you
See,
have just
that would have been tricky to enter. Uh,
no, not to enter, but to close your trade. Because I entered where you entered, and I kept
mhm.
adding into my position every like SC, every like candle because I just saw that price kept dropping. But after that inefficiency feel like I guess that's where I messed up. That's where I should have just gone out.
Where Well, every time I close a trade, it's due to seeing some sort of engulfing candle in the opposite direction, right? Or some sort of structure break. So as soon as I saw this, I knew this is done. Just because, well,
I
first off,
actually
the first warning is that we left equal highs, right?
yeah.
But the second warning is that we broke that structure, right? And yes, we did reject this candle here perfectly, right? You get reactions, but you don't get the follow throughs. And in case you don't get the follow through, right, you close the trade or you go risk free. So the only way for this to have been fully valid is if you broke this low. But obviously, you didn't do that. It started being dumb.
Yeah, because last night right there I re-entered where you marked
Hmm.
it, and then I went to sleep. I went to sleep, and when I woke up, it just went completely up.
Yeah, yeah, I wasn't expecting that either. But when you're also looking at this from a
Yeah,
cycle perspective,
uh,
right, you can consider this accumulation. Now, this would be considered some sort of reaccumulation, right? We left potential equal highs. Actually, let me pull up that schematic for you guys. Mm, I'm looking for the one with the spring. There's one with a spring. I don't know if it shows it on Google.
you said it was like basically a double top with like a flag, right?
Yeah, literally, that's all it is. Right. So you see this right here. This is giving basically quotations the retail perspective. Um, it's inclining them to look for sells due to a double top, blah blah blah, whatever. Right. You see the rejection. You see the second test of that quote unquote resistance, and then you see that basically bull flag. I mean, bear, yeah, bull flag there. But notice that this took out liquidity before it went up, right? Notice this low broke the lows. So it took out your buy side liquidity and then also took out your sell side liquidity. So when you apply that to the chart,
That
right,
was like the
it's it's kind of the same, right? You see quote unquote double top, right? You see the stall, some sort of test, and then you see liquidity be ran before then it runs the buy side liquidity. I mean the sell side liquidity. Right. So it's obviously never going to be the exact same as the picture, but the point is to understand what it means, right? And something I didn't realize or something I just was oblivious to was the fact that this could be considered accumulation, right? Because we got this fat bullish move, right? So when you see that fat bullish move, now this could be considered an impulse correction, right? So now you could see the skyrocket, blah, 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 give me distribution, and then it dies. All right, so now what we'd be looking for is, I would say, somewhere around here. Why? Because all of this can be considered inefficient pricing. So price will eventually have to come fill that. There is liquidity sitting right here at these equal highs. So this can go.
Is that like that weekly candle you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, it's right around the 50% of it.
Yeah.
So you see how that matches. But yeah, I was oblivious to seeing this.
Yeah, I didn't keep in mind that
Yeah, I
that
didn't. Yeah, I didn't either. It is what it is. So you just gotta remember that weekly moves are a lot stronger, and will definitely last longer too. So this whole move here is literally 150 pips um on positive swaps. So you can easily take this for another 70, 60 pips. But yeah, we should see this continue to climb now, especially because I got the bias in, right? If I can after this call, um, I'll try to match it with this, and I'll show you guys. But yeah, check out the chat. So you say something about AU. Yeah, yeah, I was looking at that like before this call, and this looks like a fat bear flag, right? And not only that, but based off of price action itself, look at this, right? Bearish engulfing plus inverted hammer. This is definitely going to start rolling down, which kind of sucks because we missed our our swing moves. So essentially now we could just be getting our pullbacks, but I want to see something more convincing before I start looking for sells, because this can easily just be some sort of bull flag and just fly, especially because you could consider these equal highs, right? You could do that, or you can actually like look into why this drop happened. Like, I don't know if I want to consider this equal highs just because I was looking at it from a smaller time frame, right? So I like to go back and literally check why every move happened. So to make this long story short, I saw, I'm trying to remember where this was. I'm not sure if I saw it on this. I don't know if it was this. I don't know if it was this specific pair, but there was a pair that I was looking at, and there was like something on a 2 minute. But anyways, whatever. If I find it, I'll send you guys a chart. But there's more than likely some type of mitigation move up here, which is why this happened and took out previous liquidity before we got the real move. So as for now, you just want to continue riding the trend.
A quick question on that. So would have you considered that a structure break where when it go take out that liquidity? So would you have been saying like for me, I was like since it broke that, I was like it left relatively equal highs, so I thought it might come back up to take that out. I mean, is that kind of like
I
valid?
mean, now that you like, if you look at it like that, I'm not gonna aim to wait for those highs to break. I'd rather use the highs and lows as targets
Hmm.
instead of and then just playing the sponsor candles or whatever down on every time frame, right?
Right.
Because this has room to just start coming down, like right there, there, right? And then also don't remember. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but I showed y'all this specific candle here in the back, like from like 2 years ago, right? Like this has the possibility of dying alongside EU, right? Like look at this. This is the last sell to buy move, right? And it never came back to touch this. So when we go to current price, that's sitting a couple hundred pips away, right? You could consider equal lows, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But the only thing that's worrying me about considering this to basically hit here is the fact that we broke the high. So now we might get a pretty deep retracement, but I don't know if we would break like let's say this low here. So now it's just a matter of waiting to see how the next couple daily closures will be, especially this week and next week's daily. I mean, the weekly closure. That's probably what's going to give us like a solid bias. Yeah, but break of equal lows. Yeah, so another reason why this could just die too is because we took out these equal highs there, right? That liquidity was ran, and now this can take out this liquidity too. Is that realistic to me? Not really, but you always got to be open to all the biases there.
Do you see it going to this price here? Oh,
Oh yeah, eventually, yeah. If this is actually a structure break and we get some sort of rejection, like or some inefficiency fill right there, then that would be one of my swing targets. Right, and that is 67.97. That's like a 300 pip move.
that's a candle I'm like paying attention to,
Yeah, I mean,
and then
I'm pretty
maybe
sure
go.
eventually it will reach up there. But if we reach up here, then I will be convinced that this is more than likely going to go bullish after that pullback. Because what I'm expecting now is to see some sort of rejection here, and then come back, fill it some sort of inefficiency or whatever, and then continue higher. And then that will give us that full on, macro trend shift that we're looking for. Right. So this is all going to be dependent on how the DXY plays out for the next, let's say, like 2 to 3 months. But other than that, I haven't really been looking at anything. This is still something we're looking at, but I don't know if this will actually play out anymore, honestly. Like this is actually something I'd rather be looking to sell than buy, just because I know there's a ton of people trying to buy this. So I would gladly sell this. Like, but what? It's always 70 pips ish. Yeah, 60 pips ish.
And there's mad news in 8 hours, so
Oh yeah. I mean, I probably won't be awake for that. I'll probably wake up to the aftermath.
How do you correlate news and like trading?
I mean, I really don't, to be honest. You don't see Forex Factory up on my chart. I mean, up on my browser. I'll check it every once in a while on my phone just to see what's going on. But at the end of the day, bro, it's all noise. Everything's priced in. That's why you see a lot of these quote unquote fundamentalists losing all their trades. But yeah, do you guys have any questions? Let me see. I need to find something to play off of.
I was in CHF JPY, but I got out when
Yeah,
I
I
guess
would never touch that pair.
no.
That pair moves way too slow for me.
It I mean I went positive, but I got out.
That's a tough pair to trade just because both CHF and JPY are safe havens, so you'll more than likely see that pair just move like this
Yeah.
because you're literally having two safe havens fighting against each other to see who's the better safe haven. And yeah, I'd rather not do that. Trying to find something to play off of. What was a good mitigation play this week?
Oh, something that's been haunting me is GN. I sold it on like I forgot what time frame, and then I put my stop loss too close, and it took me out. But I caught like a purple stuff.
Yeah, so it's not hard to scale in. It's literally just splitting your position in half, right? Unless you want to get really, really like mathematical with it, right? First position is at the 50, second is at the open, second is at the 50. Your stop loss is right above that. So let's say my account is, let me type that out. So I have 10 bands in the account, right? 1% risk, right? So this whole range here would be, I put 13 pips. Let me look this up. Right, 10K, 1%. That was EA. My stop loss is 13 pips. Right, so that means I can use a 1.12 lot size. So now there's two ways to play about this. You could either risk 1% here for that amount, and then for the second position, risk 1 more percent on 6.5 pips or 6 pips. And then that would mean your first position would have a 1.12 lot size, and your second position would have a 2.4 lot size, but you're risking 2%, which is $200. So you'd be risking $200 to potentially make, well, on this, let me do this. On your first position, if you would have triggered only your first position, which you did, you're risking 1%, and you went a total of about 9% in profit. If by some chance it would have hit the 50%, you would have not only had got that 9%, but that second position would have been a 20-1. So you see that? So your first position would have been 9-1, your second position would have been 20-1. So that's almost per se 30% on an account. How long did this move take? 19 hours a day. 30% for a day, that's not bad. So yeah, I hope that makes sense.
You trade oil at all?
Yeah, I caught the sell. I closed like 70%, then I broke even, and then I saw y'all talking about it, but my entry on it was late. Let's look at that, because I was looking at the daily inefficiency right there, right? But we obviously hit higher than that, right? From this 12-hour time frame, your last, you consider that. I wouldn't have considered that a valid buy to sell move, but obviously price which literally came to wick that. But from any other time frame, I wouldn't have seen a candle to play that off of besides that 12-hour. you could say on this 4 hour that we had inefficiency here. Right.
Yeah, on the 8 hour, it looks like a pretty clean fill too.
Yeah, I'll look at it right now. But yeah, so whenever I play inefficiencies, I more than likely want to pay attention to 50% and then to the closure. And as you can see, price came to the closure. Oh yeah, no, yeah, but I like seeing this more. Like here, notice. Right, you see this here is called efficient pricing, right? Notice that everywhere is covered by another wick or another candle. And then when you see a drop, you see this void here. So this is what I like to see. And then after that, you see more efficient pricing, right? So that's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. And so now what you want to measure is 50%. And the closure, obviously price came to reach that closure. We go to 1 minute time frame. Let's see what we can see. Wouldn't have seen much here, but what you do see, relative equal highs, liquidity is then taken out before it flies down. So anywhere here you would have wanted to enter, right? But now let's see if we go somewhere like 3 minute. Yeah, no, but the only way you would have entered that is if you knew that you saw equal highs and you saw the highs get purged. So that's what you would have wanted to see there. That's obviously a lot more trickier than it is. Let's say you had position here, that would have been, no, not even a pip of drawdown. Oh wait, no, it's 7 pips of drawdown. I'm sorry. You would have 7 pips of drawdown, but you're obviously up 140. All right, so actually managing this trade would have been the tricky part. Like you would have more than likely had some type of stop loss, at least above this high somewhere, right? That would have been the iffy part, and then you would have just waited to see something after we clear these equal highs, right? So that would have easily been a pretty decent stop loss, 10 to 15 pips. But yeah, that would have been a lot tougher of a play. Now the cool thing was that you see the shift of momentum there, right? As you can see, look at all this selling volume just coming out of nowhere. That shows you your shift. And after you see that correction will come in, scaling the positions, whatever, have stops above this high. And now you see price starting to die afterwards. So yeah, not the cleanest, but yeah.
So now on the most recent price action, would you consider that a sell to buy candle on the 1 hour?
On oil?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you can consider this inefficient pricing, right? Let's say we reach back up to the open here. Actually, let me just take it all out. So we come back to the open, right? You're now around equilibrium of price, right? So preferably, I'd want this, right? But this is, in my opinion, this is going to start falling. It's just a matter of getting the entry down, right? Why? Because you see steady buy volume, right? You see equal highs. Now you see a massive amount of bearish volume come in right here, right? When you see massive bearish volume coming in, you see inefficient pricing. right? So what you want to do is wait for it to basically retrace and fill in this inefficient pricing, and try to play off of this 1 hour sponsored candle, right? And when you look at it like that, you see the volume basically shift here. You're more than likely going to see something like that, right? Now, when you look at it, right, you consider this your UTAD, buying climax, upthrust, and this is your UTAD, right? All we're doing here is trying to find the safe entry, which is the LPSY. All right, does that make sense? So this whole little range here, is that 40 pips, 47 pips? Yeah. We're looking for a fat move to the downside. I'm personally looking to hopefully clear all of this here, right? If I get this entry and we sell this and it does this, I'm literally going to laugh at everybody for saying oil's going to 80. But yeah, but you see, you have every confluence here that you could ever want, right? You have, right, this wick fill, then we see liquidity taken out, and we bearish engulfed, right? So now it's just a matter of actually getting this entry here.
And on the daily, it looks like it's also it reached like premium pricing.
It did.
Sell.
Yeah, we did. We did reach premium pricing, right? So this has every confluence that I would probably want on that's on my trading plan. So if this doesn't play out, I'm gonna be shook if this just flies. Like, yeah, I don't see that happening. Now the only tricky part is if we actually get, this pricing up here, right? And then this coming down will only naturally take UCAD somewhat more to the upside. Right, because now the only tricky part about UCAD is the fact that we didn't break previous low. So this can start looking really, really ugly if this doesn't break that high or break this low.
I have a question. Why is UCAD and oil like correlated?
UCAD doesn't influence oil. Oil influences UCAD just because Canada is one of the biggest manufacturers of oil, or it's one of the biggest exporters of oil. Yeah, it'll be ugly because it's in a range. So I don't want to see UCAD just start doing this, because then I'll probably stop trading it. But yeah, now it's just a waiting game. Do you have any more questions?
I had a question about inefficiency. When it's like forgot what example you showed, but when it's let me see if I can draw it out. Do you see this? So hold on. So your inefficiency would be like right here, right? On like, let's say a 4-hour time frame. But when you zoom in, what if it looks like this? There's another candle. Let's say like there's two areas where like there's inefficiency, like there'll be inefficiency here and then like here.
And zoom in and figure out which one's the real one. Because on one time frame you might see it, but on a smaller time frame you won't. And inefficiencies are more run by smaller time frames.
Kind of like you showed us on USOIL, where the 8 hour, it was a bigger space, and then minimized it to the 4 hour.
Mm-hmm. Let me show you that. All right, so you see fat inefficiency there, but if you zoom in, you figure out that it's not all inefficient pricing. It's literally just right there. And price rejected the closure of that.
Oh, so that's kind of like a perfect example, but can you zoom in a little bit more? What if let's say this candle right there was a little bit lower, and there was basically that inefficiency and then this inefficiency? Like, what would you like count?
Or start zooming in. See whatever, if it's not valid on one. And not to mention price already came up here. Price hasn't come up here.
No, but let's say price didn't, because I've seen
You can't play off of what ifs, bro. You gotta play off what you see from the chart.
because I've seen it, but I just can't
Like next time you find an example, just show it to me. And then we'll discuss that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you can't just go based off what ifs because you'll only confuse yourself.
Yeah, I think if you go to gold, there might be a good example of what he might be trying to look at. If you look at like the 1 hour, so there's like very minor imbalance, like between that wick to wick right there, and then that wick right there.
And then above that, yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Then you could play, I mean, obviously here you can see on a 45 minute, that's not efficient. I mean, that's efficient and this is not efficient. So now this gives me more probability in this area here. And it just makes sense just because look at how impulsive this move is. I don't expect this move to go all the way up here before it continues lower. There's also something I need to back test, and that's using this. Mm, 1 hour. I think it was there. Right, so based off of fixed volume range, right, notice volume is basically non-existent right here. And notice their volume that is basically present there, right? An inefficiency is a skip in volume. Therefore, since there is no basically zero volume here, this is more than likely my area of interest. Whereas here there is volume, so I wouldn't consider this inefficient pricing.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
dope.
it's a cool little trick for y'all.
Have you back tested that?
A couple of times, yeah. I'll for sure put this. I'll make a video on this. But yeah, as you can see, there's no volume there, so this is more than likely going to be my area of interest.
Hey, is that considered an order block right there?
Sponsored candle. I don't trade order blocks. But yeah, you could consider it that. Go to 30 minute. And the reason why I call them sponsored candles is because a sponsored candle has different rules from an order block. You see people call everything a damn order block. Like, I've been seeing people call stuff like this an order block. And I'm just like, dude, what? Yeah, which is why that term is basically, I consider it my term. But yeah, so you see from a 30 minute, that would have been a cool little sell entry. Right there. Right, literally like 3.5 pips of drawdown. Currently 30 pips. But since, as you can see, structure maintained, so you could easily see something up here and lower.
Yeah, I actually caught that, but it was like for me, it was like not in premium pricing yet. At least it doesn't look like it. So
No,
I
it's
closed
definitely
out.
not. Definitely not. After this impulsive move, no, it's not. Look, bro, read the trading plan, bro. Yeah, but to have what's it called? To have yeah, to basically have that fixed volume range thing, you do need TradingView Pro. I mean, I pay $15 a month for it. It's not bad at all.
Why is mine 29? I don't know what I'm paying for.
There's like 3 different yeah, I'm not gonna pull that up, but yeah, there's 3 different like prices that you can do. It's like the Pro Plus, and like the something, I forgot what it's called.
Bro, just go and try to cancel it, and then they'll ask you why and say the price is too high, and they'll lower it. It works.
No, yo, Sergio, don't send the trading plan in the chat. Don't send it, because then people are gonna. I don't want people to share it. That's why I put it in the drive.
Has anybody used Truebill?
No, what is that?
It's like you link all your bank accounts and everything, and it kind of like just organizes everything for you. But before you sign up, before you finish, it's like it says, we want to provide like the best service or whatever, but we can't do it like for free. So what do you think is a good price? And it gives you the option to like put like to name a price. And yeah, I just put like the lowest amount, like $3, and yeah.
No, yeah.
I think you get away with like nothing. But yeah.
That's interesting. But anyways, I think I'm done for tonight. We went through a lot. But yeah, I won't be sending any more files or anything through Telegram just because it can be shared. So everything's going to be on the drive. Other than that, I think I'm done. The only thing I'd be looking at are either EURUSD making some pullback, but I don't see that coming back. I was actually aiming to re-enter here, and I saw price come here, and I was like, wow, how much was this? I missed my entry by 2 pips, and I would have been up like 20 pips.
I joined late. What do you think about AU?
AU?
Yeah, AU 45 minutes. I'm seeing something. Is it because I'm new to the concept, but
Oh, I see what you're seeing. You're seeing this. Yeah. This is why I said that this could literally just be some sort of bull flag, and it could just fly.
But is it also confluenced with higher time frame?
What do you mean?
Like this is 45 minutes time frame. We are looking for buy. That is also supporting any higher time frame bias with our analysis. Like
no, yeah, it actually is. Even though we did get these 2 strong bearish closures, this is looking extremely corrective. As in, look at this.
The impulse and the correction is happening. Then the bull flag also might break out upside.
You can consider that the impulse, and then this whole thing is a correction.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's the same amount of candles, but different amount of distance. So yeah, that could literally that could be a trade.
Okay. Oh, that's good. I'm thinking right away.
Because that's only like a 5 pip stop, 10 pip stop. Yeah, I mean it's pretty big for AU, but that's actually looking like not bad. Right, liquidity is purged. Yeah, we'll see. It's not a bad idea. I can't take the trade though, just because it goes against my trading plan. But that's some good study material.
Okay, that's nice. Thank
But
you.
yeah, guys. Other than that, I think I'm done for tonight. What settings for volume? There's regular settings, bro. Do you think any?
And Fredo, I heard some of your videos that you are also trying to use a volume profile, or I was just hearing some terms, volume profile. Is it something different than this volume?
No, that's the that was what I just showed you. This one.
My trading view is not this. Okay, I don't have a.
Yeah, this is only if you have like the pro version.
Okay.
Which is why I don't really want to show it, just because I know everybody doesn't have it.
Okay. Understood.
But I mean, yeah, that's NU's doing the same thing right here. So yeah, if you get some sort of rejection, 7 pip stop. Now the only issue is that you are fighting daily momentum. But yeah, we'll have to see. I'm actually curious to see how this plays out tomorrow morning. But yeah, guys, other than that, I'll see y'all next week.
Okay. Thanks for the call. Okay.